Hi there. Been a while since I did this, but somehow I'm feeling comfortable right now with just turning the camera on and letting go. So, I haven't been journaling much, and I can't tell you why. I'm confident that most of you can recognize that we're all in a time of transition. And the transitions are personal to each of us, as well as something, that can be seen overall. But people are still enabled to not see things based on whatever belief system they hold. Or they will see things that others won't, and it'll be because of how they're structuring their own particular reality. Most of us, without knowing that we're doing it. I want to put in a vote for the us part as a planet and as the family of mankind, man and woman, however you want to say it, as being one. The oneness is much larger than that, but surely it can start here. We can quit vesting so much belief in what's been used as divide and conquer tactics to separate us out in as many ways as possible, and get us arguing and looking amongst ourselves instead of seeing what's going on behind the scenes, seeing the overall manipulation at work. Now, a whole lot of that, in my world anyway, is falling apart now. I can no longer believe in certain things, and I think it's fine. Overall, I've been in a pretty empty kind of a space. And it's strange, but I mean, how long have I been telling you guys that things feel strange? It's like every journal seems to open with something like that, and it's the reality. I mean, I don't know what part I'm playing in crafting that, but no doubt I am. And there are various physical manifestations, like as I sit here now, there's kind of an energetic humming going on at the base of my spine, and it's just the whole area of the torso there is like buzzing. Whatever. It'll all come together at some point in something that we can recognize, or it won't. And it doesn't really matter. I've been doing what I've been telling you I've been doing, which is pursuing my joy, following my bliss, as Campbell said it. And so in each moment, being aware that my future will look much like whatever my feelings are right now. And knowing that I have charge of that. I mean, we don't really have charge of anything else but self. And so when we take every bit of that power back to us, that we can see, that, that's showing up for us, because it comes to us beautifully timed. It always does, it always is. I see things as perfect, and they are, for me. If you hold that belief, you'll see it too. If you don't, you won't. And that's not in my power to alter. But I do love our ability to come to the net and chat and share, so that the odd or intriguing ideas of this or that one can spark the same sort of thing or thinking in the rest. And everyone takes what they want, leaves what they don't, and it's all good. But no one is trying to change his fellow, his neighbor, his brother. I like the way Ross says it. It's not a teaching, it's a teach learning. Or the way Abraham says it, every stick has two ends, you know, and maybe on the teaching stick the other end is learning. And you can't do one without the other. It's like when you look at your astrological chart, people get very much into the individual spots or points on it, where your sun is, what aspects your moon makes, that kind of a thing. But the chart is very much, instead of 12 individual signs and houses, it is 6 figure 8 kind of things, because each one is a stick. And so on one end of the stick is Capricorn, the other end of that stick is Cancer. And, you know, the first house and the 7th house are the ends of that stick. And so even just by seeing that much more of a unity perspective, much is gained. I like the idea that we have infinity and eternity as our playground, because it never ends. You know, you never arrive. There's no place to arrive. Certainly you transcend 3D and you transcend the notion of place as a limit, just like we transcend the notion of time as a limit. It's not that it doesn't still exist, it just doesn't limit us anymore, and we're used to accepting the limits that are built in to our beliefs. And you see, I have all this to say, and I'm pretty well clueless where it's coming from. This isn't stuff I've been mulling over. Haven't been mulling over much. I really appreciate being able to take something I hear, something someone says, and just drop it down into heart, with neither a yay or a nay, just neutral. Just let it sink in, and then my inner self will show me the answer at some point. And often the way that that's done is all of a sudden I find that I've got a different opinion about something, and I won't necessarily know where it came from. But in some cases, it can be traced back to dropping something into heart, where a deeper layer or level of pondering can take place. It is really nice. One of the major underpinnings for where I am is knowing that everything brings blessing, and giving up the whole thing about good and bad, right and wrong. It seems to me, now this is just an opinion, but it seems to me that if you have, let's say, a planet of light beings who are aware of their light beingness and are cooperative with it, folks that are following their joy, respecting their neighbors, knowing that they're not in charge of their neighbor, and all that sort of thing, you know, there's no need for law. There's an interior law that governs there. And I think Jesus summed it up well with the golden rule. Your neighbor is yourself, ultimately. And there's all the reason in the world to love them, even when they're misbehaving. Now, that doesn't mean that you invite them to be your roommate when they're in the misbehaving mode. I also believe in setting comfortable boundaries, because not everybody realizes that it's not appropriate to try to change others. And that can be awkward. And you just, there's no need. If you're following your bliss, you're not going to set yourself up that way. You're going to love yourself first. And you're going to care so much about yourself that you're going to be alert in new ways to the influences of others and making some deep level decisions about how much am I loving myself in this relationship? Am I taking good care of me first? You know, are they trying to change me? Am I trying to change them? It's just, in a lot of ways, I'm at an empty spot in whatever's going on with me. I mean, oh well, you know, I can't control them either. But if they did real mischief to one another, I have found that a little spray bottle with just some water in it, most kitties don't like a squirt of water in the face, and it gets your message across. It's not the first thing you do, but might be the last. Most people that have pet problems, it's so funny, but it's the people that are the problem, and the pets are just playing that out. So I sit here and I watch the birds. I watch the weather. And I veg. Caring about how I feel in each moment. I'm much more cautious now about what I'm willing to listen to. The people that I subscribe to on YouTube, I used to listen to everything they put out. I don't do that anymore. If it looks too negative, there's no need to watch it. Our inner self knows everything that's going on, so on some level we're in touch with all of that. We do not need to educate ourselves to the nth degree. I don't know about you, but I found that that was mostly mind still trying to retain the reins of control. And I went with mind long enough, a good number of decades. I don't find that it leads me where I'm going. It took me as far as it could. And now there's an integration going on. Somehow, some way, again, as usual, that I don't understand, with higher self and with mind and ego. I'm not one that thinks that we have to destroy or get rid of mind or the ego. I think they're useful structures for helping us navigate in 3D. And I don't think we have to have this prissy perfect perfection either. I don't limit myself by what I think I should do or not do, say or not say. I find that if my consciousness is pretty well anchored in heart, I simply trust what's coming through, whatever it is. You know, and sometimes it's telling someone to back off, give me my space. I don't know. I don't have any ultimate wisdom for you here, friends. I hope I never claimed that I did. I think it's all of us together that make up the mosaic, the beautiful whole. I love Mandelbrot and the whole fractal thing, and today's computers actually being able to put it to us graphically so we can see the beauty of the interactions of the math. And the maths are pretty simple. It's freaking awesome. You know, if you can imagine at all, it'll take you beyond. I think I'll put a link with this to an Adyashanti video that I recently shared with a friend. If you watch it from heart, you can pretty well be guaranteed to go deeper than you've ever gone. We can only hear what we've experienced. It's like when we were little kids and our elders told us their wisdom. Yeah, okay, thanks, Grandpa, but we couldn't integrate it yet. And this is where I again sing the praises of more time, of growing older, of more experience. And the product of that seems to be a certain level or layer of wisdom. There is a certain element, a significant element of wisdom that's nothing more than experience. And that's fine. I've got no problems with that. But it's the stopping of seeking that takes you to this empty place where you know that right now you are all that you'll ever be. You know all that you'll ever know. It isn't accessible to the conscious mind, but the conscious mind, not even being but 10% of the mind, much less the whole being. And I'd say this 3D, 4D being that we are is a paltry 0.1% or less of the wholeness of who and what we are. You exist right now in spirit, whole, complete, a little g God. You're there. When we incarnate, it's only a tiny portion of ourself that does it. The rest of us remains. You couldn't fit who and what you are into an incarnation. And so when we cross over, like in people's NDEs, sometimes they'll meet the spirit of someone who may have already reincarnated. But that doesn't matter because we're always present in spirit. We have available to us, if we'll just open up and see it, every being that ever lived, every lifetime of our own and of theirs. We can consult with anyone because we're all always on the other side, and there the lovingness is acknowledged, accepted. It's the warp and woof of our being. And so there are certain things that excite us. We have many incarnations generally where we're pursuing certain themes. They light our fires, and that's great. Well, there's other folks and other lifetimes where we have that particular thing in common, and they're happy to consult with us, to work with us. And I'm not recommending Ouija boards ever. Not that kind of thing. That's the mind saying, okay, now I'm going to get in touch with that, whatever it is. It's not like that. You already are those other beings. It's the fractal connection that's an inner thing that we follow to make that kind of a link up. Nobody's ever really gone from you. Nothing's ever really away from you. Nothing's ever really not you. And we each take our own road into this. And that's the beauty of it. No road is perfect, but together somehow there's a perfection in all of it. And it takes us all. Your belief structure, what you're able to see, your beliefs and your experience. But as we delve more deeply into heart, we are automatically in touch with the rest of self, with those other lifetimes, those other experiences. Many of us have already ascended eons ago. And so it looks like the earth and her beings are in process of doing that here. Now this is different because I think the standard hasn't been the mass ascensions, but the one by one. And so this is different. And it's fun. I mean, you know, this body is a ticket to the show. And it's a really cool show. And I'm really glad to be here. Send up a prayer for those in the Philippines. For the, I guess, the biggest storm that ever was, I've heard, hit them. And I'll give you a link to a short Dutch Sense video that shows the microwave pulse that started the storm. And you draw your own conclusions. You know, I think that's what Dutch does. It's just we chatter and we share from our perspective what things look like. And we leave it to everybody else to make of it what they will. There's no need to bash one another. And a lot of us have already realized that, and a lot more are beginning to realize how pointless it is. Whoever it is, it's your brother, your sister. And bashing is just inappropriate for higher dimensional beings, which is what we're accessing now. That's the movement, where it's going to. Strange things are happening with the sun, too. There have been some recent CMEs that sent a blast of solar energy our way. And the interesting thing about these solar events is the shortness of their duration. They're like X-class flares, lasting a minute or less. And I guess the astronomers have a word for this. It's crocheting, the effect on our Earth's atmosphere they call crochet. And so you might enjoy visiting spaceweather.com. Whenever you see this, you can still visit there because they keep the archives, and you'll find them for this week. Let's see, what's the date? I know I'm in November of 2013, so I'm doing good. Okay, so today's, oh, my eyes aren't good, either the 8th or the 9th. I guess it's the 9th. So you can look in the upper right and just put in whatever date you want to see. And they generally have a short video of the blast and a little bit of text laying out what they understand at a very high level. I think it's fun. We're in a solar wind right now, and we haven't been for a little while, so I guess yesterday and today. And they're not explaining it, saying what caused it. So it's not sunspots. So it's probably the CMEs, the flares, hitting Earth's atmosphere. I don't know, though. Don't take me for a know-it-all on any subject. So, you know, verify. Do your own due diligence on anything. And I vote for less blaming all around, less finger pointing at so-and-so for being off the mark. As long as we can say what we have to say with respect, disagree, but do it respectfully, we'll go a lot farther than we've gone with the old way of the bash and blame nonsense. Namaste.